You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Süper var. Süper'e doğru at. Süper gitti. Süper topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim pası. Zuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 158 of Beşiktaş International's The Black Eagles podcast. I am your host, Sinan live from New York City. Spring, right around the corner. Last few days of bone-chilling cold over here. But with me today is another special co-host. We're on a bit of a roll here. And today, it is none other than Aaron Armstrong, and coming to me live from Ankara in Turkey, in the motherland, if you will. Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's awesome to be back here again. It has been a while. Looking forward to recording this with you. Like, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, man. So yeah, a kind of Beşiktaş International, Beşiktaş Talk collaboration here, which is exciting. Always, you know, it's a small enough community. We got to work together.
Indeed.
But yeah, I mean, great time to be coming together as well. Obviously, for Beşiktaş fans around the world. We have a lot to talk about, right? Like who'd have thunk, right? I'm thinking of that Paul Rudd meme, you know? It's like, who'd have thunk?
Yeah, not me.
Not me. But so yeah, like I guess before we even dive into this match against Gaziantep, what are your thoughts on like the season? Like, let me get off a few questions I can think of, like offhand, about like general Beşiktaş, controversies, if you will, or like debate points. There's not a lot, because I feel like we're all kind of pushing together for the same cause, right? There's not a lot to debate about, but like,
right.
First of all, how do you feel about the season? Like, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Honestly, I couldn't have guessed that we would be in this situation. We're actually doing really good. When you look back, like we got like eliminated from the Champions League in terrible fashion, and like this Rio Ave game in the Europa League was also miserable. And the way we started the season, we got battered by Konyaspor, and like actually awful. It was like painful to watch the team, but we've come a long way since. Honestly, like all the players that we've been criticizing a lot have improved drastically and started to contribute in this unit that we've become.
Yeah.
So,
and I think like the secret ingredient there is sort of a camaraderie element, huh?
Yeah, like the motivation, the vibe is insane within the team. That's what everyone's talking about. The positive attitude of everyone, like the overall vibe, the atmosphere. Like it actually like pushed everyone to get better. I believe. Like, and obviously you have to praise the gaffer here. Because of that, maybe he's not like the best manager in terms of tactics and decisions, but
I've often said here that he struggles with choosing players. You know, his like starting 11s are always sort of questionable, or not always, but often.
Not always. It has actually come a long way.
He has, yeah.
In the beginning, we were questioning it a lot, and
lots of three defensive midfielders. And
he managed to like develop himself in that way as well. Like I would say, Sergen has also improved a lot when you compare him.
But his subs are still like often.
Yeah, I mean, especially we're going to talk about it today in the Gaziantep game. Like the first sub being Gökhan Torre, I think it was some sort of a mistake, because in the central area, in the midfield, we were having struggles. We were completely off, and he subbed in a pacey winger to create pockets in the flanks.
And actually, like the one big like gaffe of the day, which was Ghezal, like that was kind of a result of him playing in the middle and being in a position.
Yeah, no. I actually wanted to see it because he can, like, since he's an absolutely banger of a passer. I really wanted to see how he would do in the midfield and like in the central areas. He actually like created some chances for others, and he got some chances himself as well. Like I think around the 50. No, not 50 actually. I think around the 17th minute mark or around that time. Like,
we'll get into it. We'll do the whole match.
Get into that, but like, he can like from time to time he can like be used as an asset in the midfield as well. He obviously is better in the wing, but like if it comes to that, like if you need a person to spray the balls to the forwards in the central areas, he can also like adopt that role.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he proved that in the game. But yeah, we'll talk about that
for sure. Let me think about some other topics that from the past in the season that like we can get your opinion on. How do you? All right, I feel like one of the players, like the guys who have like come under some fire. I want to know your take on them. So like I think the two guys I can think of that have really come under heat are probably Ersin from some folks, although. Perhaps
you talking about this game or in general?
No, just generally, like throughout the season. You know, I think a lot of people feel like I would say a lot of like fairly critical folks that we need to have a better keeper. But you know, I think it's actually fairly impressive that we're doing this with the.
Yeah,
anyway, but I want to. But so there's that, and then I also want to know your opinion on Nsakala. He's a guy who's come under a lot of criticism.
And also Valentin as well. Like we were criticizing him a lot, like in the beginning of the season.
Sure, yeah. So what are your takes on those three guys? And then finally, I guess maybe how do you feel about like the long-term standing of guys like Mensah or Montero, who we would have to theoretically buy out? Mm-hmm. Do we want to keep them? You know, like so. What do you think about like some of those guys in the rotation who have come under criticism? You know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, honestly, like, okay, let's start off with Ersin, right? In the beginning of the season, we're like, okay, like, it's not going to work with two young keepers. We have to buy a experienced keeper, and like, just like, use the young keepers as like backup keepers, right? But in the end, like, Ersin proved to be a crucial part of this team as well. He had some like key games they played, really, really well. And he got into this like competition with Utku, and I believe like this competition made them both better.
Absolutely.
And like they still criticize him in the aspect of his feet not being on point that much when he tries to like play long balls and like build up play. He still has to improve. There's room for improvement. I can't lie. But
no doubt. And it's funny. I think initially he was strong there, and that's really sort of fallen off.
Yeah,
over
maybe.
the course of the season.
We didn't really see him play a lot, so it was like a first impression that we got from him, like that his feet were actually good. But like the longer we started watching him and the longer we started watching him perform, I mean, it showed that like he has the fundamentals, like in one-on-ones or like his reflexes. For me, is his most strongest suit, and
he hasn't pulled like a Tolga Zengin, right? He hasn't. No passes like that. Like they'll go out of bounds way too often.
Yeah, I haven't seen him do a blunder, honestly. But I mean, overall, I think like I'm glad that we didn't actually get a keeper, given the scarce finances situation we're in right now. So like, I don't think even if we signed someone, it would have been better than he would have been better than Ersin, you know?
Yeah.
For sure, like it was a good decision to stick with him, and we're harvesting.
Absolutely, and it's so much
benefits.
More exciting to talk about this team and to sort of think about its future and all of that when you can talk about the fact that we have these two 19-year-olds like playing regularly, in the rotation, if not starting.
I think Utku is 23 years old, no? And like,
well, Ersin and Ridvan Yilmaz is the other 19-year-old.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And even I suppose Aydin Hasic, who's shown flashes, right?
Yeah. I mean, like we have like some promising young players, and they feel if they like actually develop, we can. But they're assets when you look at that.
Absolutely. So on the topic of Ridvan Yilmaz, let's talk about him and Nsakala. And I think a lot of people who are really head over heels for Ridvan are also. I think the Venn diagram of people who are really crazy about Ridvan and hate Nsakala. Like it's like this. It's like a circle, you know.
yeah, like, but when you look at it, like, and Nsakala is a really limited player. He has like, he possesses strong physical qualities. Like, no lie, like he has like really high stamina levels and is like really physical. So he can like put in that extra effort when it comes to games that we need that physical output, let's say, because like we adopt completely different tactics in games where they play. By the way, like when Ridwan plays, we're more dynamic on the flanks. Souza drops back, and like during on ball possessions and like during build up play, we rotate to a 3-5-2 with Souza dropping back and acting as a defender. But when Nsakala plays, Souza also pushes forward, and Nsakala plays as the third defender because he doesn't really possess good attacking qualities. You get me?
Right.
So, but with Ridwan, like he can thread the flank a lot, and he like can just like do overlaps and stuff. Yeah, and like he's more technical. He's way more talent in the technique department.
Yeah.
When compared to Nsakala. So like it's a matter of how you use those players, and I think Sergen has managed a way to get the most out of them. In some like if it, and you have to like consider the fact that Ridwan is only 18 and this is his first full season where he's actively a main squad player, you know, like he didn't get as many minutes before, and like this season is really condensed with like 21 teams in the league. We're gonna play like 40 games this season, so you have to actually like use the rotation. Otherwise, like he, as a 19-year-old, he won't be able to cope up with the fatigue, and like he will start having like injuries.
Burn out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you have to use Nsakala when you can. It's no lie, but it's a matter of like getting the most out of them. And I think like Sergen from like since the start of the season has managed a way to like use them properly. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's my opinion. Obviously, I prefer Ridwan because with him we're more active when creating positions and when like building up play and everything. So yeah, it's a matter of how you use them, honestly. So that's
I
agree,
and I think Nsakala is, in a sense, like as a second left back, he's more useful because his strength is in defense, and so you can kind of just game plan around having that strength in defense, and like you got to be more creative with your wing play. You know, that's where like the layering on the wing thing gets a little questionable. But I fully agree with that. I'm happy, actually. I'm really happy that we have Nsakala, given that Ridwan is in this position of being a kind of prospect still. For me, Ridwan still has like a couple holes in his game that I think, given his age, he's so far ahead of anyone his age, which
yeah, in the league, yeah, for sure. Like I don't remember. Okay, like you have some good strikers like Ali Akman in the first league, like the one tar below, and like you have what was the name of the kid from Kayserispor? Emre, I think he's also 19 or something like that. He's a good striker.
Yeah.
That's
also the dude from Antalya, Gökhan is.
Yeah, like we have some like good talents in the league, but yeah, I believe like Ridwan
and Ersin, like they're 19.
Yeah, maybe I'm biased, I don't know, but like I think like even like this summer, since like Turkey lacks a good left back, I think he will be called up to the squad to play in the Euros. Honestly, if he keeps up like this, that's a no-brainer.
What's kind of interesting to me is that Ridwan is like now, as a 19-year-old, about as good as Ismail Koybasha ever got.
He's better than him. He's better than him. Honestly, I can't lie.
He's certainly already more consistent, and that's where it's like Ismail on his day, it was actually, it could be useful, remember? But he was always like, his day was so rare. And what's phenomenal about Ridwan, especially as a 19-year-old, is that you can pretty much bank on him even on a bad day. He's so useful. He's so useful. Like he even like, if we both agree Nsakala is maybe more sort of defensively sound, the thing about Ridvan is that when he's having an off day with his distribution,
Yeah,
he'll
that's
compensate by he's much more fierce defensively, and so he'll like up his game when he needs to in certain ways. Like that's what you love to see, is that adaptability. And so, for such a young kid, like that's phenomenal.
Well, that's what I was gonna mention about the game as well. Like most people talk about Ridwan's qualities in attack, but actually, like the kid is a beast defensively. I think like that's his strongest suit. Like in this game as well, like Gaziantep relied on like Kenan, their right winger, a lot because of their tactical approach. I will get into that later, but Ridvan like pockets guys so easily. Like it's actually amazing to watch. Like at 19 years of age, he can like literally bully right wingers really easily, and it's an amazing thing. Like that's the only way to describe it. Honestly, like I think. Since we're like super impressed by his attacking prowess and like what he tries to do on offense, we kind of overlook his defensive qualities, which is his strong suit, because he doesn't like back down from a challenge or anything like that. I mean, he's not as physical as in Sakala. That's a different thing, but
Right.
When it comes to defending, like with his pace and like with his positional IQ, let's say, I think like he does a better job than Sakala.
I wonder if Sakala could play as a central defender. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. So, all right, finally, Montero and Mensah. Like, what do you think about their prospects long term with the club?
Well, I'm still undecided by that. Like with Mensah, lately he's like his form has dropped a little bit. Like he's not been playing really well. I think he's a bit disappointed that he was like a first choice midfielder in the beginning of the season, but he kind of dropped down in the pecking order.
Yeah.
So it's like an impact sub right now, which is I think like the way to use him, because in games where you can find pockets in the midfield, he's really good since he can dribble a lot and like he's paced and like he creates chances for others. But in games where it's like a narrow, when you have like a narrow shape and it's like a fierce midfield battle, I don't think he can really do that because he's not like super physical or like doesn't possess passing qualities compared to the other options in the midfield, let's say.
And I
so
think Ljajic has kind of quietly
yeah,
right? Like,
Ljajic like he still has some way to go, but like he learned like the game has changed a lot. Like with Ljajic, like his problem was not helping on defense at all. But you have to do it if you're a midfield, especially in a 4-3-3. Like you have to contribute on both ways. Like you can't be just like, okay, I'm an attacking midfielder, I'm just gonna do stuff when we have the ball and like lay off, like have no defensive responsibilities. Can't do that. But right now you see Ljajic dropping back a lot, like defending in the final third, even like doing like dropping deep to get the ball and building up play. He's not like an attacking midfielder in that context, like we've seen him play in the last few years. Which is what he needed to do in order to play, and like Sergen saw that, and like we actually like won him back, and I think like that's a better role for him.
But what was ironic is that I don't know if you caught. I think I tweeted this or something too, but I mentioned on the podcast. It kind of resulted in us getting like a midterm transfer, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of it almost like rivals, like you know, I don't know, Mesut Ozil. We might be doing better off in that, but that's a whole other conversation now.
That's a whole other story. Let's not get into Ozil. I think he's going to be a big flop unless he changes.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's what I was saying with the Ljajic coming. He still has to do stuff. Like he kind of dies off after minute 60. He stops contributing defense.
And that's where having Mensah as that sub.
Yeah. So with Mensah, I would keep Mensah, honestly. I don't think his buyout clause is really expensive, but I have to check it again. If you have the finances, I think he can be useful, but obviously it's up to Sergen and what he thinks of him, or the planning of the club. Overall, they might decide to bring in someone else. Or
and Montero,
like that.
finally.
Montero, okay, that's another question. Like, I mean, it's a matter of seeing if he will improve or not, because he's still not quite there in my opinion. Okay, he's good with his passing, and he's
had great games and he's had really bad games, right?
But like he's still a bit clumsy, and he sometimes does this stupid like positioning mistakes, and that stuff. So like maybe Sergen would want.
But he's young, right? So
yeah, he's like 21 or something like that. He's really young. But if Sergen wants to use him as a sub or like a in the rotation, maybe we can think of that. But for now, I don't think he will stay at Beşiktaş. Honestly, I think.
Well, and so the one benefit is that we have the +1 on the loan, so we could actually sort of size him up for another season. Well, anyway, good. So we've covered all our bases there. Now let's talk Gaziantep. So to lead off, we should say, so before our match, and all right, we'll leave that out for the whole standings thing. All right. So lineups. Let's talk lineups. So Ersin started in the goal. He was back. Wellington and Vida started on the back line. Rosier and Ridvan. So Ridvan was reinserted. I think a lot of people were concerned.
He finally recovered fully from his injury.
Yeah.
So.
And that was, I think some people were worried last week, like hasn't Sakala replaced him? But no, clearly, I think they're playing it safe. What you got to do?
I mean, you have your like okay, Sergen has like more or less his ideal lineup already. Okay, you have Ersin at goal. That's like first choice, and Vida and Wellington has become a really useful partnership in terms of like Wellington like presses high up the pitch and like collects them. Rebounds and everything, and like sprays them quickly to create possession again. And Vida, when it comes to like defending on the back, long balls and stuff like that, he's been a beast as well. I remember at the Queensport game, we were like, okay, this guy's finished, and like he has come a long way as well, and it's so much of a relief to see him play again like this.
Yeah. And the rise of Wellington is somewhat profound, right? Like I was disgusted by him initially.
Yeah, he was one of the players I was criticizing a lot, but they finally got used to each other, and like now they're actually like playing really well. They're for my money, they're the best partnership in the league. As far as it goes, like nothing comes to that. People talk about Marcao and Lewandama. And
they're error prone still. I agree.
And like Alliance Sports partnership with Colker and everything, but I think like Vida and Wellington are the best partnership at the moment.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine saying this like for like a good 2 months initially, but I fully agree. And it's really, I think it comes through in the way of all the clean sheets we've seen. Like back to back, there was like 5 or 6. I mean, by all means. Anyway, so further up in the lineup, you had Adem Ljajic and Atiba Hutchinson, with Kyle Larin on the left wing and Rashid Guzar on the right, and then like Vincent up front, the Abubakar. So no surprises, honestly, this week.
Yeah, I mean, like what we do is like we always have like Rosier and Gazal playing, and like Larin and Abubakar playing unless they need to be rested.
Yeah.
And like the midfield rotation kind of changes from time to time depending on the opposition, but this is our ideal lineup. I believe like Sergen wants to use Ljajic as much as he can, and like with Atiba and Joseph like doing this like box to box thing, or like contributing defensively both on offense, and like Joseph kind of like Joseph kind of adopts this anchorman rule from time to time. He picks up the balls. And sprays it to Atiba, and like Atiba makes runs to like disrupt the defense of the opposition. Given that most teams adopt the this probably the most anticipated defensive tactic of the year, like this like 6-3-1. So in order to break that, you need like your midfielders making runs and like creating spaces, like trying to find pockets in between.
It's where I think Ljajic has been so useful.
Because of that narrow, like this condensed mentality of defense. Like you have those players where they can like perform in like narrow spaces.
Yeah, those little one-touch flick-ons that
Yeah,
kind of result in a little dinker over the last defender.
That's why like Abubakar is such an asset in the league, because he's one of the few strikers that can drop deep, get the ball, and create chances for others. Like adopting this like false nine rule.
Well, and the thing about Abubakar is he was stuck on 13 goals for the longest time, or not 13, 12 rather. He couldn't get that 13. And so on that note, let's dig in. So I'll kind of recap the key events for me in this match. And I suppose like it's worth mentioning that from the outset, Gaziantep showed some interest in this match and playing offensively. In the second minute, like the first real chance fell to Deco on a little counter. Wellington came back and made a pretty big stop there. Joseph was a little sloppy, so that so I mean it was clear that Gaziantep was coming to play.
They tried to do what like, since like Beşiktaş is like really powerful on counterattacks and offense, like most teams try to like defend deep and like spray long balls to the flanks and try to create counterattacks. That's what Gaziantep tried to do. Actually, that's what like how PL teams have been like destroying Liverpool. Yeah. Because if you have a high line, that's the best tactic to go with. But the problem is like they tried to do it with Dika only. He had no other help, and he's not really. Okay, he's a pacey and like physical striker, but he's not really technical. So they had some trouble trying to create possession for him. But as you said, like he got one chance, and like Wellington was quick to swoop in there, and like he just bullied him, and it was the end of it. I think that was their only chance. Like you can't even call it a chance in my opinion.
Yeah, it really was. It was scary to see as like the first thing to really happen, but it would, like the next, I mean they'd have like a free kick from deep, and like it's worth noting that they have Alexandru Maxim, 30-year-old Romanian who we've actually, it's most of the kind of garbage, I don't know what you call them, papers, I think they're just like online sources, but that have like linked us to Maxime previously. How much truth is that?
Yeah, no, he's a good player. He's a good player. Like Maxime, like he's one of the best players at Gaziantep. But I mean, this game we managed to shut him down as well. He wasn't able to create anything and got subbed off.
Exactly.
Around, yeah. And like the thing is that like with their approach, we managed to just like trap them at their own half, you know. And then we were like getting rebounds with Joseph and Wellington, and we were like just putting them back on there, and like we were trying to create chances, and like it was like if you play it like that, you make your opponent like run a lot and like tire them off, and
what we're so proficient at, and especially like early on or when we have energy coming out of halves, is sort of flipping the counter on the counter attackers. And so like in the 13th minute, and this would be a very important moment, it would start actually with Vida stopping a counter sort of decisively, flicking on a nice ball to Abubakar, who would send it into Laren, who would sort of center it further to Ghazal, who then flick it over to the last defender, as we talked about earlier.
Brilliant pass. It was a brilliant pass. Like,
just fantastic, pass. Right?
Yeah.
And it would drop to Abubakar, whose first shot would be saved. Credit to Gunay Guvenc, former Beşiktaş protege, if you will. But yeah, not Atiba. Abubakar would do very well with the second opportunity and put it away.
Yeah.
I mentioned Atiba because the ball kind of went over him to get to Abubakar, and some people were worried. Was he offside? Is that gonna? No. He wasn't offside. So.
Now, I'm not sure if he wasn't offside, but he didn't like really do anything like conscious like.
No, he didn't impact play. Well, so initially, A, he didn't impact the play, but B, I was looking for this because you worry about what are they going to contrive to screw us over with, and like they couldn't have even done that because he wasn't offside. I paid note to that. So.
Yeah, it would have been like a reach,
Much a huge reach.
Yeah.
But what they do. Remember that Wellington call against Fenerbahce? 32nd minute, the next sort of opportunity of note for me would be Joseph heading it on to Abubakar who would find Gazal, who would find Rosier with, again, another lovely ball. And Rosier would do this crazy spinning volley that would be relatively easily saved. But for me, it was a fun little... You can tell they're having fun out there, you know?
Yeah, no, we're a unit. Like, you have this, like when you watch Beşiktaş, you kind of see that, like, we have this mentality. Like, I'm not sure if I should be concerned about this. But we tend to become a little bit complacent as the game progresses, because, like, the team is performing, like, in such a high level. Yeah. That, like, other, like, teams can't cope with it. So
it's
there's
like, we got this.
Yeah, mentality. Yeah, like this, the confidence kind of turns out to become like complete complacency in the end. So it's a little bit of a concern, but like it's a good thing that we're so confident and like we're so what you call it, like invested in believing that we're gonna win this no matter what.
Yeah, no, there's that. They're oozing that confidence, and you're right. It can have a dark side, but in the 39th minute, Guday Vural would get injured. Junior Moraes would come in. 43rd minute. This was interesting. So Maxim would send in a pretty good free kick. Ersin, who is his strength, I think, is his ability in the air. He would come out and grab it, but spill it, but then aggressively make the recovery, and so there was no real danger there. But so this would be sort of a theme. We'll get into this. But Maxim's free kicks were sort of loopy, but we held. 44th minute, right after that, Kyle Larin somehow has become like a really good touch winger. He would get behind the defense. His cross would not be so well delivered. Toshka would send it out, but then Atiba would get on to sort of Toshka's hasty clearance, backheel it beautifully to Adem Ljajic, who, I don't know if this was a cross or a shot, but it damn near was a goal. Gunay Guvenc actually did really well to kind of pull up a last-minute reflex save. It could have been a goal. And frankly, if it had gone in, I think we would have given Ljajic credit, and it would have been a wonder goal, perhaps. Because it was really well pulled up.
I mean, I still don't know, as you said, like if he actually like intended to like curl it in or not. But yeah, nevertheless.
One of those John Air goals, you know, where it's like a good cross should theoretically be a goal. You know what I mean? Because like you gotta put it in play like that.
Yeah.
Late in the right before the half was called. They would get a yellow card. Vetri, I don't know, Slovak. Halftime, no subs made. We go in 1-0, feeling probably pretty good, although you're never feeling too good with a 1-0 lead in the Super League. Like, anything can happen. Yeah. And again, 52nd minute, right out of the gates.
By the way,
Maxim with a free kick.
Gaziantep changed tactics during halftime.
No doubt, right? Like, it was a very like night and day, I think.
Yeah. So like they were trying to like use Kenan was there, and like Deco with the tactic that I just mentioned, like spraying long balls, trying to find pockets in the flanks. But again, like the thing we talked about, Redvan and Wellington like coming on and like sweeping, they couldn't like capitalize on that tactic. And then like in the second half, normally like they would just like defend deep and like try to counter, but especially after minute 65, I think they started to like keep the ball way longer, and like they weren't like rushing possession. So they were trying to keep possession and trying to play the ball, which was interesting. And like our midfield for some reason looked very tired, and like their tactics started to work off because like we couldn't really press them high up the pitch or like sweep their balls or anything like that, so they started holding the ball more and more.
Well, and it's worth noting, to back you up statistically, I think at the half we had 75% possession, and then it ended with us like a normal 60-something%, you know. So they definitely like turned the tide there. But anyway, so the first opportunity would drop to them vis-a-vis another Maxim free kick. Mm-hmm. This one would be poorly cleared by Joseph. It would fall to Olkowski, or I didn't follow. Whatever. But then he would. So I don't know if he was shooting or passing. It would drop to Roderick, who would, I don't know, clumsily. It would find Ersin. It would count as a actual opportunity on goal, but didn't really amount to much. But so this is what you fear, is that sort of against the run of play kind of goal. It's why you need that second for sure. And then what was sort of frustrating was that in the 56th and 60th minute, both Ridvan and Atiba were queued up pretty well, especially Atiba, because Abubakar did some fantastic wing play along the left side. Crossed it in low for Atiba to just put into the back of the net, and both Atiba and Ridvan previously skied it. So you felt like we were kind of getting enough chances to put this one away, but also seeing enough from Gaziantep, as you mentioned, that you're starting to get scared here, right? And then Wellington with a yellow card in the 67th minute. You knew that was coming.
That's when things started to change around 65th, 66th minute mark. They started to as I've said, keep the ball longer, and they weren't actually creating chances or holding the ball with passes. They actually relied on individual talents. Let's say they were beating players on the ball and everything. So that's how they got kind of back in the game. And
I don't want to say it's probably not coincidental. There are no coincidences. They made two subs in the 68th minute, I think, and in the 69th minute.
Yeah.
We substituted Gökhan
especially
Töre
Souza,
for
Andre
Adem
Souza.
Ljajic.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Especially when Andre Souza came on for Gaziantep, he's a really talented player as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And instead of that's what Sergen did wrong in this game, his only mistake, in my humble opinion. He tried to he saw Gaziantep coming at him, and not adopting this deep defensive mentality anymore. So he wanted to sub in these pacey wingers, which he usually does. And try to create chances in the flanks and everything. But the thing is that we started not having the ball at all. Anything that we would try to do would bounce back off. So they were getting back into the game.
And it's worth noting that Ghazal. So because Töre would come in for Ljajic, so we'd have him on the wing, and so you'd think maybe they'd do something with Lair and Anabu up front, but they didn't. Instead, they kept Lair on the wing and had Ghazal playing in the middle. So that was at least it was creative. You don't see that from Sergen much. But it also was not. In that sense, it sacrificed something in the middle, obviously.
With this individual efforts, let's say Gaziantep had, we had to go out of our comfort zones, and we had to play in this really this extended area of play, let's say. So we would have to find pockets and spaces in the flanks, so we'd have to make a lot of runs, and it resulted in us running more and getting more tired, especially you'd see Atiba and Joseph, which is a really rare occurrence for them, having to struggle, having problems running back, kind of being left out there in the final third, because they were not making their runs as fast as they would normally do, because they were looking tired a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph coupled some errors that came from that fatigue probably with some sort of his usual heroism, where he'd come make giant tackles and stuff. So
luckily that's when we actually capitalized on that. Lauren won the ball in great fashion, just sprayed it out. And
so what we're talking about, so 71st minute, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because Kyle Larin, he flicks it over the defender so brilliantly, and then puts it on so well for Abubakar running up the left flank. Where does that come from? Where does that come from Kyle Larin, dude? Did you see this coming?
He's actually improved a lot during his time in Belgium. That's what the Pro League does to you. You get to learn a lot, because since it's not really a physical league where they concentrate more on improving players' techniques and their overall IQ and their basic fundamentals, let's say. like touch of the ball, passing, like movements and stuff. Like, it actually like helped him a lot. And like with this year with Sergen, he managed to like continue this trend of improving. So honestly, like I'm like really like impressed by Lauren this season. Normally he wouldn't be able to like play that ball. He's still a little bit clumsy on, like, I don't want to say clumsy, but like he's not really there in terms of technique, like when it comes to finishing and stuff.
Right? Like,
yeah,
you
but
can
like
game plan against him if you need to.
yeah, but like he's certainly like I believe like he lost some weight as well, and which resulted in him being like way more faster, you know.
Yeah. And he accelerates in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
he had another play that like didn't result in anything, so I don't really mention it. But
Yeah, he had this,
held
like-
off a defender and made a really impressive run that just kind of didn't
Yeah.
result in anything.
Yeah, he's really fast right now, like, which is really interesting. But yeah, I mean, it was a great flick, as you said, and like Abubakar, absolutely brilliant there, like so
The
calm,
stop,
collected. Yeah, like
cuts it
super,
across,
like,
sends it
that's-
in low.
like,
Oof.
perfect composure, like switching the ball to his other foot and like dropping off the defender like that, and just like with a perfect finish, like managed to make it 2-0, which was a blessing in disguise.
Well,
If it
yeah.
proved later on,
Indeed.
yeah.
And so, and as you'd expect, like once we go 2-up, it opens things up a little bit for us. Rosier, and again, we're still playing on the counter very much, but like we're good in that role often. Rosier would lose the ball, but then kind of defend well, clatter to recover it, and then make a nice run, and then cross it in absolutely perfectly to Abubakar, who would sky it, unfortunately. I mean,
Yeah,
it wasn't
it
a
was
sky, like it was a
difficult.
placed sky.
Yeah,
Like it was,
yeah, it was
wasn't
a
a
difficult
terrible finish.
volley. It was a difficult volley. Honestly,
Yeah.
like he had like two players pressing on him, so he had to like shoot it. I think if he had more chance, he would be able to get a better shot off.
But like,
But-
imagine he scored, like it had kind of hat trick written all over it. And it was a
Yeah, I
fantastic
really
little cross from
wanted it to
Rosier.
go in. No lie, like I really wanted
Yeah.
to get a
Would've
hat
been-
trick. Like, yeah,
We could have been we would have been celebrating this one for a while. In the 75th, Ghazal and Abubakar had a really nice one-touch, and Abubakar's pass was just like one of those balls where it's like it's so close to defenders where you're like, oh, that's not a good pass, and then you realize that he's got a guy on his back foot, and it's actually perfectly placed. Ghazal runs onto it, and we mentioned this already. It's like the one low point of the match because
yeah.
it's like this man's like allergic to scoring.
It doesn't score his goals, only worldies, pal. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, right. Yeah, that one
it
was.
was really
fantastic.
frustrating to see that, like, chance pan out, like, in the worst possible way that it could have. Let's say, I mean, he just couldn't like make that final touch that would see the ball go over the line. But again, let's just blame it on the luck.
Right. I mean,
not
it
gonna
was such a
criticize
weird
Gaziantep,
touch he
yeah.
made too. It's like, how did you even?
Yeah.
Like for a man whose touch is so brilliant from like 40 yards, like what the heck was that? Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe fatigue plays a part in that as well. Like, you have
Fair
to,
enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
take it into consideration.
Yeah, and so that right after that, we would see a bunch of subs, and they'd make a couple. Maxim and Roderick coming off; those guys were active for them, so that was they had to shift their strategy here. Mensah would enter the game for Ghazal, and Nkudu for Larin, and so things kind of normalized with just like two wingers with Mensah coming in. And right after then, unfortunately, in the 88th minute, this is where really the only other thing for us to talk about for this match occurs. And it occurs in large part thanks to a really unlucky touch. A bad touch by Deco, but it ends up being a good one.
actually,
It
like,
just bounces off his butt, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, like that's what caught Arsene off guard, because he was like actually in perfect position to stop it. But like if he actually like attempted to do that touch, I think he would have just like fumbled.
Exactly.
He would have fumbled. I mean, yeah, again, like it resulted in a penalty. We said, okay, there's nothing that we can do about it, so like whatever. But I think around like the 90th minute mark again, like Jose Sa again changed the tactic, and like he started pushing the fullbacks way up the field and like tried to spread.
I mean, after the penalty?
Yeah, it's tried to spread the shape, and also Djilabodji started playing as a striker as well. Like, so it was only, I think, I'm not sure if it was Tosca. I think it was Tosca who stayed in the back. And Djilobodji was actually, like, playing as this, like, target man or, like, a pivot up in the field.
Djilobodji, I must say, had a very strong match.
Yeah.
He made a number of really good tackles, like, throughout.
Yeah, he's one of the most impressive players of the season, no lie. Like, when you, like, look at the teams overall.
Gaziantep
Like,
had surprising success this season, so you gotta go to someone.
Yeah, with Sumidika, but like they sacked him and they haven't been doing really well since he got sacked. But like they have a great manager right now as well, like with Hans Sao. Like I really like him, like especially what he did.
They've done impressive by replacing a good manager with another one. I didn't think they should have got rid of him, but whatever. Like he was a little sort of weird.
I mean, like Sumidika is a problematic character.
Exactly,
like,
he is right.
He's like he's a bit controversial. So it's like hard to work with him.
But so let's talk about this penalty a little bit more quickly. I think we could probably both agree that, like, ideally, Ersin pulls back and realizes that Deco's going too wide. But at the same time, I think it's like, you know what? Get your mistakes out. This is something where you can look at film and actually learn from, I think. So I'm okay with it. The penalty shot was really terrible, and the save, right? Like, Ersin maybe could do more with his legs. Again, everything about this is like a learning opportunity for this kid, because in the end, 5 minutes of extra time, nothing comes of it, and the game ends 2-1 instead of 2-0. So it's not really impactful, except some learning material there for Ersin, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, like, as I've said, like, it was just unlucky for him. Honestly, like, maybe he could have just like laid off his arms and let Deco try and dribble and see what he would do, but I think it would still end up being a goal. So perhaps that he did the right thing. I don't know. Like we can't really.
It ultimately comes down to that really unlucky touch.
Yeah. Again, but I mean, I'm not gonna blame Ersin for that. Sometimes stuff like that happens.
At the end of the day, any one-on-one with the keeper comes down to a number of mistakes that have led to that one-on-one, right? So like you can never. I'm even with Karius, I was always hesitant to put too much on him, because I think when a defense is making mistakes like they did often back then, it's like the sum of the parts. But in this case, whatever. There are little sort of minute details that I think Ersin could have done better with, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter much, and it's just learning opportunities for the kid. And so another, I mean, just absolutely huge victory here. 3 points, and now we forgot about one thing, like this, like this chance like Gaziantep had where my heart skipped a beat. I think it was Andre Sosa. Like he like put out a really powerful shot and just like hit the woodwork. It was like really terrifying. Again, like it was Djilobodji who, I think someone played a long ball from the midfield, if I recall correctly, and Djilobodji kind of flicked it with his head, and it was like a volley from Andre Sosa, which could have ended up being a goal, and it would be so disappointing because obviously we deserve to win this game. Yeah.
And if it had actually ended up being 2-2, like it would be really frustrating for us, which is what teams do. Like they manage to like play reluctantly up until like minute 80, because like even if they like concede early on, they can't really push their team up or do anything, because if you do that, Beşiktaş will just tear you apart with our like fast build-up play and like our physical build-up play. We're the best team when it comes to like organizing these vertical. I don't know what to call it exactly, but this like vertical
build-ups or whatever it is.
Build-ups and like fast-paced build-ups, because like, we just tear teams apart like that. So they can't really do that, but like what they do, even if it's like 1-0 at minute 80, they start to like push their team slowly up in the field, because they can't really afford to concede the second one, which will like inevitably happen if you push your team up.
Game over, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's what they try to do, and they almost succeeded here if it wasn't for the bar, let's say.
Yeah.
So
no, they really, yeah. whatever. We're lucky, I suppose, in a sense. But on the other hand, we deserved so much more. We could have goals.
If we actually capitalized on the chances that we've got early on,
should
it
have come
been
down
like
to
4-0
that,
or
right?
5-0, perhaps. Yeah.
Exactly. And so let's talk stats.
Of course, shouts to the Akman out in Turkey, trying out for a team still. No news there, but once again, thank you for the stats, Evran.
So Beşiktaş ends the game on 61% to their 39, and that's important to note because again I said they had 75% at the half, so you were absolutely right about that. 10 shots to their 8, but only 3 on target to their 4, which is interesting. So Ersin was fairly busy, although not notably, I guess we could say. We complete 568 passes to their 355, at an 85% rate, but they complete their passes at a 74% rate, which is pretty high for our opposition this season. So they were, that second half was rough for us, I think we could say. We committed 15 fouls to their 10, which perhaps speaks to that. 1 yellow card apiece. Let's talk XG. XG was 2.1 for Beşiktaş, and 1.3 to Gaziantep. 2.1 to 1.3, which 2 to 1 is fairly accurate for the day.
Kind of reflects the outcome. So,
and you could say that they were, you mentioned some of their chances, right? Especially that last one. So that kind of 0.3 makes a little sense. Let's talk individuals. So let's start with Abubakar. 2 chances created. 3 shots, 2 goals. He won 9 out of 14 duels. Completed 4 out of 5 dribbles. Won 3 out of 6 aerial duels. Probably man of the match, huh?
Yeah, hands down man of the match for me. Like, I don't think any, we had good performances out there with Wellington and Vida and Ghazal, obviously, but you have to say that Abubakar, really played well and, by far, in my opinion, deserves to be named as the man of the match with his 2 goals and statistics as well.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Atiba, this is interesting. Atiba completed 60 out of 65 passes. This man doesn't age apparently. 92% there for you. He created a chance. That was a nice one with the back heel, by the way. Won 5 out of 8 duels. Completed 3 out of 3 dribbles. He's perfecting this new position late in his career. Kyle Larin created 2 chances with the key assist we noted.
Yeah, I have to say something as well. Now that Larin is more since the start of the season. Okay, people didn't think Larin was much of a threat. Especially when you consider early games of the season. But right now, they're taking extra precautions for him. He's getting man marked or double teamed as soon as he is in the final third and everything. And especially they're making sure that he doesn't make those extra runs in the back post and everything.
Just listen to this stat. He won 10 out of 21 duels. 21 duels. I mean, it speaks to how he's all over the pitch. Even only winning 10, that means he's putting pressure on someone 21 times. Comparatively, so Ghazal creates 3 chances, which is, because he's sort of an artist with that long ball, but he only wins 4 out of 13 duels. Kyle Larin is hyperactive out there. It's phenomenal.
No, he has an immense defensive work rate as well. I have to tell you that. Even though he's a traditionally striker.
Yeah, I know. He comes. You often see him coming back and sort of fortifying the left back, especially with Nsakala back there. But it's wild. Other guys, I'll mention Wellington. Won 4 out of 7 duels, 4 clearances, 4 interceptions, completed 56 out of 62 passes. So that 90% rate for you there. He's really effective in that role, which is quite interesting. Ridvan won 5 of 11 duels, completes 43 55 passes, 78%. He was sloppy in that regard, but remember, he's coming off of a long injury. He recovers 7 times. I wasn't even aware of this statistic. So recovery is where you you come back and get a ball that neither team has possession of, or where you sort of not an interception, but sort of take the ball in that way. But so that's sort of an interesting, impressive stat, and I think it speaks to how he is what I was saying earlier. Is what he compensates for weaknesses by overperforming in other facets. So you love to see a kid being adaptable like that. Yeah. So the stats were interesting this week. Apparently, Joseph's stats were pretty meh.
Yeah, I mean, like he looked. I don't know why, but the play and like the Gaziantep's mentality had some sort of an effect in this as well. But like he got tired earlier than his usual self,
output,
let's say, or like output, like he got like Atiba as well, like both of them, because they had to like do more once the level play got extended, like the shapes got like made more extensive and like spread out. They had to like put in more and they had to run more, so they kind of got tired early on, and as you've just said, it kind of reflected in their statistics as well. Joseph got dispossessed a lot, and like he had a lot of passing errors.
No doubt.
In late game, So
and perhaps it's a credit to Gaziantep, and as you mentioned, the way that they asserted themselves there in the second half. No, whatever tactical response that Portuguese dude made, like it clearly was effective. I forgot his name. What is it? Sapinto?
Sapinto.
Yeah, Sapinto. Yeah, good job of coaching there. And I mean, it just speaks to Gaziantep's standing. Now let's talk standings. And so, at the end of this match, Gaziantep still in 7th place with 43 points, which is way ahead of where any of us would have had them, I would imagine.
Not really. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if I would like name them as high as the 7th place, but I was expecting them to be.
I guess with Sumadi
in the top half of the table, you know.
I mean, I would have had Antalya above them with all the talent they brought in. Sivas with their success last season. Konya with their kind of strength at home, at least.
Biggest
obviously, but Başakşehir
here. Yeah, I was just gonna tell you that, like, biggest disappointment of the season.
And Rize too. I always expect more of Rize for some reason. They always put up a good fight against like Fener and like our rivals. So
But yeah, they can, like Gaziantep, they can still make a run for the European competitions. Especially, I think, like this year we'll have the European Conference League.
Yeah, the new Intertoto, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so let's talk standings here. And so what happened previous to this match, which was really good, was that our rivals slipped up last week. And it started with Galatasaray and our boy Tyler Boyd making a huge impact for Sivas, scoring a goal. They would come back and draw the match, but, that's 2 points dropped for them. Yeah. And Fener, that result was even better. They drew to Antalya. Wait, did Galatasaray lose to Sivas or?
No, they drew 2-2.
They drew. I thought one of them.
They lost last week against Ankaragücü.
That's what it was. That's right. And I guess I confused it because Tyler Boyd came from Ankaragücü. But it's late over here too. It's like almost 4 a.m.
Damn.
Yeah.
Totally forgot
But so, yeah. Great results for us. It gave us a little space, and then for us to get the 3 points regardless in a tough-fought match.
Yeah, it's still too early. I think we have 12 games left, or 13 maybe. I'm not sure. I think we have 30,
13, but our rivals have 12, so we still have a match in hand.
Yeah, which is good, obviously, because
fantastic.
We had the bye week.
Yeah, let's talk about what our rivals pulled off this week. So I mentioned Galatasaray drawing Sivas. So yeah, they'd lost to Ankara, which so yeah, you correct me there. But so Fener won, unfortunately. So
yeah, they play really well. I mean, finally, like, I don't know if it's just like
without Mesut Ozil
or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know what you want to call it, but like with him injured, actually, like I've been saying this since day one. Like, you can't use Mesut in that way. It's not like football is being played anymore that they were trying to do, let's say. So like
in the same way that you said
injury was a
Biatic
blessing
had
in
to evolve
disguise.
too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like he has to change his way of play. You know, it was a blessing in disguise, and like with Pelkas getting back to his adopted position, which is.
I said when they brought in Mesut Ozil that they were displacing their best player this season.
Yeah, exactly. So they play way better, and like they beat Coinsport 3-0 and like in this dominating display, which was really impressive.
But, and this is a big one, it came at a cost, vis-a-vis, speaking of Pelkas, he came down with a pretty serious knock there, huh?
But I think he's alright right now, like he's recovered.
Was it just a concussion perhaps? Because it looked nasty, but...
Yeah, he got like, I mean like, I don't remember the other player, but like he hit him on his chin with his knee while going up for the ball. So it's a really heavy hit, and like once you receive a heavy hit on your chin, there's a high chance you might get knocked out.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's what happened
to
him.
He looked out of sorts for sure. Well, and so like concussion protocol could have him out for this next match, but that's against Gensler, so it doesn't really matter. Probably. And they'll be fine. But so like this is where things leave off in the standings. We're still in first place, even though we have that game and match, and Fener won, and Galatasaray managed to draw Sivas rather than losing outright, unfortunately. Questionable stuff happened in that match, but whatever, we won't even go there.
I'm not gonna discuss that.
Yeah, I don't want to do the whole ref thing, you know, like because the way they're complaining about every match, like let's let them be the whiners.
It has become a trend, like every single team in the league complains about the officials, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if they played horrifically, like doesn't matter. I don't know if that's a I don't know if that's a real word, but even if they played horrible, they tend to complain about refs, which is kind of annoying because like sometimes actually like disastrous officiating happens. You kind of take it away.
It happens with those folks.
I mean, you can't really like. I mean, you didn't actually like perform at all. Like, what were you expecting? Like, you were like, especially like, and let's not get into that. Honestly, like, doesn't make any sense.
There's no point for us to do it, but there's no doubt. And what's worse is that their tactic of scaring the refs into giving them calls. You know that's proven to be effective in the past. Let's see how it goes. But whatever. At the end of the day, we still have that game in hand. We have played 27 matches, have 60 points. Galatasaray and Fener have played 28 matches and are tied on 58 points.
This is probably we're approaching the most difficult
patch right here.
Of the season. We're gonna face Başakşehir. Okay, technically they're miserable this year, but
Vizca's back.
Yeah, with Vizca's back, with Kocaman coming in, I'm pretty sure that like he'll do anything he can to get points off of us.
To help.
We're talking about Aykut Kocaman, so So it will be no doubt will be a tough game. And like we have the Turkish Cup semi-final against Başakşehir again.
Yeah, the following Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and
let's talk fixtures then. Yeah. So. Yeah. This is important, and I actually put out a tweet, and it was a poll asking what people needed from these three matches, and it was Gaziantep, Başakşehir, and Fener, which I said was the sort of pivotal three matches. If we leave these three matches,
I believe our pivotal 5 matches are coming up. If you also count the Turkish Cup semi-final, we have like Başakşehir, Fenerbahçe, Kasımpaşa, and Alanyaspor. Alanyaspor are still a unit. You can't just like overlook them. They're one of the best sides in the league.
I just mean that if we leave the 3 matches, Gaziantep, Başakşehir, and Fener with 9 points, like at the very least, Fener is in really tough shape.
Yeah.
And like I can't help but feel like Galatasaray could struggle still. They're still not looking too sharp. Like I feel like they've like they could have gotten a buoy from Falcao coming back, but now he's sort of redundant because their best player is Mustafa Mohamed, and I doubt they're playing like a 90s 4-4-2.
And Terim will still try to use them both. I believe.
Then we'll benefit from that probably.
It will be interesting to see how they perform.
I
they
can't
tried
wait to see what happens with the season.
They
It's gonna
tried
be
it against
fascinating.
Ankara Gücü and like it wasn't a good outcome for them. But yeah, I mean, we still like if we can like we're approaching the most critical period of the season, and if we can like capitalize on the games that we're gonna play, we can definitely walk off doing the double, which is exciting. Or we can just bottle it and like end up
we
with
could fall
nothing.
apart. I mean, anything can happen. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. But if we beat Başakşehir in both games and beat Fenerbahçe, I think that's 80% done in terms of getting the title and the cup. In my opinion, I think that's the most difficult because we don't really have any more difficult games bar the Alanyaspor game and obviously the Galatasaray derby. And maybe if you want to count Hatayspor, but they're not as good as when Bupenza was making that immense run.
That miracle run there, yeah. It seems like Bupenza has fallen off a bit, so I don't know, man. It's gonna be fascinating every week. It's gonna be so important. You can't really afford to drop points at all. I mean, actually, that's not even true. Like theoretically, mathematically, we can, ironically, but we shouldn't have that mentality by any means.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna
every
happen,
game is
right?
a final. Like that. That's how you should approach that. You shouldn't like you should approach them as if you don't have the luxury of dropping points. Honestly, because still there are a lot of games and anything can happen. It's too close to call.
Sure is. Jeez. But like, I mean, who'd have thunk we'd be here? You know, like what a crazy place to be to come full circle back to the Paul Rudd meme.
Praise the technical staff and like the board as well. I think they've made some good signings. I've criticized them a lot during the summer. I didn't think that neither Rosier nor Ghazal would turn out to be who they are right now. I wasn't expecting because like Ghazal before coming in here, he had like only 8 contributions to goals. Like let's say like he was directly only 8 goals in the last 3 seasons. But right now, my man has like 12 or 11.
Yeah, I think
like, which is
maybe 12 now.
Yeah, and Rosier was an outcast at Sporting Lisbon. They didn't think that he would
become a decent player. Third right back.
Yeah, but right now he's like,
dude, I don't know if I've seen a better right back in my time as a Beşiktaş fan. You don't want to get too emotional about it, but I honestly like.
Yeah. I mean,
it's been a position of weakness.
Yeah, we had Gökhan, but like
Gökhan was a bright spot, but like Valentin Ozier is already, I'd say, sort of more impactful and so much younger. Like,
precisely.
You can't say enough about Rosier, honestly.
You talked about like Montero and Mensah, but like the player that we should get actually is Rosier, and like I believe the Sporting was like 4.5 million for him. I mean, if you can afford him, like that's a no-brainer. We have to buy him, like.
The reason I didn't even mention Rosier or even Ghazal is I think we can all agree that ideally, we'd lock those guys up if it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, Ghazal might be a little bit too expensive for us, but like Rosier, we have to make that happen.
Ghazal might have to be another see if we can loan him for another year type deal.
This is Justin. We were talking about arson and everything. The International Sports Research Center just made a list about the most promising players born in 2001, and you have like Bukayo Saka, Mason Greenwood, like players like that, and on the 5th spot you have Ersin Destanoğlu, which is really impressive. And
breaking news.
Breaking news. As a Liverpool fan, like you've seen Curtis Jones at the 9th spot and like Ersin named above him, like that speaks volumes, you know.
That's saying something.
Volumes. Yeah.
I mean, dude, like this kid has started a whole season on the side that's competing. That's ahead in the competition right now for the championship. So you can't say enough about these kids, honestly, or even perhaps Sergen for putting so much faith in them. Although I think, at least certainly in the case of Ridvan, there would be some pressure for him to get some time. Although I don't,
Yeah.
You would have put it like I would have pegged Sergen as being one of those guys who would have been a little too stubborn, and a little more invested in his own sort of success short term. So credit to everyone involved. Look, man.
Yeah, indeed.
This is fantastic. So speaking of fantastic, it was great having you on the podcast, Aaron.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Just last minute entry here also, but yeah, I'm glad we could do it for sure.
Yeah.
Tell these
really
folks
fun. It was really fun talking about.
You got anything to plug? Sorry, I keep cutting you off, man.
Yeah. Come again?
You got anything to plug? Like any articles you're writing?
No, not really. I mean, I'm busy with other stuff, like some side hustles that I'm doing right now. So
Nice.
I don't really have much going on with regards to.
You want to put in an ad for the for your upcoming venture?
No, not really. It's
No,
not
you're
there
not there yet.
Maybe later.
We'll put up an ad, like a regular ad, once it's
Yeah,
official.
it's fully set, yeah, but I mean, exciting times coming up, hopefully, stay tuned.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, thank you for coming on. Your Twitter handle, what is it? At Aaron E. Armstrong?
Yep, that's correct. You can always find me there. Send me a DM, mention me, ask me questions. I'll be glad to interact with you anytime.
Yeah. I'll definitely add you onto, the tweet when I release this sucker. So,
Yeah, so I can retweet that and
so you can get all the hate for any hot takes. No, I'm kidding. I don't think we didn't say anything too controversial
we had
here.
nothing. It was like a really casual discussion. We had no hot takes at all.
I don't think we were too
pretty
hard
sure
on
that
anyone.
all fans will agree with us. Not sure if there's anything that I've said, but maybe.
We even found the silver linings in some of the guys who come under criticism. So unless there's a real hater out there who wanted us to be really hard on someone, but whatever, those guys get sucking. Anyway, as always, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram. All the info's on the bottom of our.
Black Eagles podcast, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Episode description is under there. We'll be back as always. I should, of course, mention that our next match is Friday, March 12th, 11 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. So, what is that for you in Ankara?
Right now, it's noon. It's 12:15.
So it's a +8. Wow. So it's
Yep. No.
So it's like 7 p.m. It's pretty late. I didn't know that this game started so late for you guys. All right, 7 p.m. Over there for you in Turkey. So
Yeah.
stay tuned. We'll be back post Başakşehir. I don't know about Aaron. Certainly he'll be back one of these days, whenever he's available.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'd love to.
And I do have to mention one last thing. Go Beşiktaş!
Hopefully we'll win the title again to get 16th, right? We win the 16th title. We win it this season. Hopefully, man. I'm really hoping that we'll see it through.
I want us to go. I want this to be a dynasty. We're off the air basically now. The theme song kicking in, but I did mention is that what's so amazing about this season is that there's no the worst case scenario, right? We slide to third place. It'd be terrible, right? But we can still win the cup. What we haven't done.
Beşiktaş International hopes you enjoyed this program.